What does it take for a painting of a landscape like this one to look impressive and powerful? Maybe it's the realism, maybe it's the depth, maybe it's the color we use. In this video, I will share with you my experience in painting my biggest painting so far and the one I also invested the most time. Come with me in this video, I will share my experience on trying to find this out. This large painting started out with this small plein air painting. Halfway through the large painting, I came across a big creative block that lasted 4 months. In order to recover the inspiration and get back into the flow, I painted one of these ghostly succulents, an element that exists in this place. I'll also share how studying 3 of my favorite artists helped me break through this thick creative block, grow as an artist, and finally finish this painting and overcome this big challenge. Hello, my name is Isaac Puig. If this is your first time in the channel, welcome. This video is part of an ongoing series focused on the Baja California Peninsula, the place in Mexico where I live. But for the time being, this series will come to a pause. If you stay until the end of the video, I will reveal in which country the next series will take place in. This small plein air study was done in Alicitos, a place in Rosarito, Baja California. You can actually find the short over here from about a year ago. Those little white dots you see on the distance are actually succulents, and they were one of the first things that caught my eye. The amount of succulents on these cliff walls were pretty unique and emblematic, and that was something I had to capture on a painting, or at least to include it as an element on a big painting, and I actually ended up doing both. After the small plein air painting that I did, I started questioning myself. How could I level up for the next painting? Then I thought, maybe if I painted in oils and on a much bigger scale, it would feel more professional. With this new painting, I wanted to explore this new idea. Painting bigger also made sense. That way I could fit all of those details and capture all the magnitude that existed in this place. I started with an underpainting based off the small plein air that I mentioned before, plus some photos that I took that same day. All of this helped me with all the detail, such as the vegetation, which at the time was super green and abundant because it was spring and the rainy season had just passed. The photos were taken after I did the plein air, so the lighting was different. The sun was already setting on the horizon, and the colors were changing. There was a clear color gradient from the foreground to the horizon, shifting from dark oranges and vivid greens up close to some grayish purples, blues, and some soft pinks and yellows fading into the distance. It was a lot of information. After getting started, everything was flowing beautifully. But after a few days, the frustration started to settle in. And with it, the creative block came. The exact place where you don't want to end up as an artist. The painting wasn't looking right. It didn't look the same way I saw it in my head. It didn't portray the sense of scale and depth that I had imagined and wanted to bring into the piece. I had the right colors, or at least that's what I thought. But my instinct told me otherwise. I had to take this painting on another direction. Usually, when I get frustrated, I try to stop and leave the painting for another time or another day. I let it sit, I think about some edits, and I come back to it after a while. But with this one, it took a lot longer. First, it was a few days, then months. And those months eventually turned into a year. The worst part was that the painting was still on the easel on the studio, and I felt terrible, because it was as if the paint was looking at me, asking, when are you gonna keep working on me? Other projects came and went. We made more videos, more plein air paintings, and the painting was still there, at the same spot. None of the other projects I did in between felt as important or as ambitious as this one. Every time I look at it, I kept thinking, what could I do? Where could I take the painting? What could I add? And I kept asking myself, how could I stop procrastinating and take this painting back on? As time went on, the painting started to feel more and more as a burden because I didn't really know how to come back to it. Then, after about a year had passed, a group of friends invited me to take part on a group exhibition where each artist would bring one painting. There were around 10 of us, and the event was gonna take place at a cafe. And by coincidence, the maximum allowed size for the exhibition was 24 inches or 60 centimeters, the exact size of my painting. That was it. This was the push I needed to finally continue this piece. Over those months, I had kept practicing and painting a lot, and I really felt that I had grown as an artist. All of these new experiences became new tools at my disposal. To regain the flow and build momentum, I decided to paint one of the succulents that grow in this place. And not only that, for the event, we were also asked to bring stickers along with our artwork. So I used this succulent painting to create some stickers. And of course, the painting itself was up for sale. Aside from all the practice that I had gained throughout these months, I find it also really important to study and analyze other artists. Among the artists I looked for learning and improving, there are three that stand out: José María Velasco, Kazuo Oga, and James Gurney. José María Velasco, Mexican landscape painter from the 19th century. Many people in Mexico know his work, and he's probably the most famous landscape painter in Mexican history. His paintings are huge, like massive, and they are filled with an incredible, almost scientific level of detail. What I really love about his work is that it speaks of another time, a time that no longer exists. His paintings transport you to the past, a past that is long gone, but that we can still revisit through his art. The downside about this level of detail is that emotion can start to feel a little bit stale. What I took from him and used in my painting was adding a lot of detail in the foreground. In this case, foreground detail told you a lot about what you would find on the middle ground and also on the background. And it really helps to set up the scale of the scene. We don't really see the plants back there because it would be impossible to paint all of them. But by simplifying, we create the illusion of what's there instead of showing everything. I studied his work by analyzing large-scale photos I took at the Munal Museum in Mexico City, along with reading about what makes his paintings unique. Kazuo Oga. He's a famous Japanese anime background painter. He's been doing this for a while. You might not know him by his name, but I'm pretty sure you've seen his work. He's been part of Studio Ghibli for decades, and he's one of the most famous background painters there. And honestly, I'd even say he's the best in all of Japan. He has painted many of the backgrounds for Ghibli films. And honestly, I'd even say one of the most famous in Japan. He has painted many of the backgrounds for Ghibli movies. I truly believe he's one of the best, if not the best, anime background artists out there. His work is amazing. A lot of people associate Studio Ghibli only with Miyazaki, but the person that really helps to bring these worlds alive is Kazuo Oga through his backgrounds. These are environments that tell visual stories and invite you to step in and experience a different world. His work is extremely emotional, detailed, and nostalgic. Something I really love about his work, it's the narrative power in each and every background. These backgrounds weren't originally meant to be standalone works of art, but when you look at them that way, they are incredible paintings that can stand on their own. And beyond that, they evoke a sense of nostalgia, taking us to places that feel familiar, even if we have never been there. And that is exactly what I needed to learn from Kazuo Oga. I'm such a fan of his work that I actually own a few books featuring his artwork. I really love this one from Kazuo Oga. I got it from Amazon. You can actually buy it there. It's in Japanese, but it has a lot of illustration and it's an amazing book. I also picked up this one on a trip to Japan. It's really cool. It has illustrations and it tells you about his childhood in the 1960s. Both books are in Japanese, so I always have to use my phone to translate it. But in this case, the images were more than enough to study them. In conclusion, what I learned and applied from Kazuo Oga is how to use a sequence of elements to build a strong visual narrative that evokes a specific feeling. For example, if you were to visit Alicitos in real life, you'd notice that some elements in the paintings have changed, shifted, stretched, or moved. Even the islands, for instance, were adjusted, along with some of the colors. All of this was done with the main goal of transferring the same sense of nostalgia that Kazuo Oga's work gives me. That's the feeling that I wanted to pass on to the viewer. And finally, James Gurney. He's an American artist and author, best known for his Dinotopia book series, as well as for his multiple instructional books, which in my opinion are some of the best resources for studying color and imaginative subjects. Over time, James Gurney has become one of my favorite artists and one of my biggest influences. I really admire his versatility, his philosophy, and his technique. Actually, thanks to him, I started using gouache in a plein setting. I didn't even know gouache could be used that way until I started watching his YouTube channel. What I really admire is that James Gurney, even though he didn't grow up with the internet like I did, he has such a great and active YouTube channel where he inspires a lot of people on the new generation. I will leave a link on the description so you can check out his channel. He doesn't only have a strong technical side, he's also incredibly inventive, creative worlds and places that don't even exist, with an amazing level of detail. You can actually see this on his books, especially on Dinotopia. One of the first books that I always recommend to my students is this book, Color and Light, alongside Imaginative Realism. I truly believe there's nothing else quite like these two books out there. Whenever I have a question about color, I always come back to this book. These books are pretty easy to find. You can find them in Amazon pretty much in any country and most languages. I actually had the great honor of meeting Mr. James Gurney at the Lightbox Expo in Pasadena, California. I already owned Color and Light, and then I bought it again just to have his signature. Look, this is so cool. This is one of the treasures that I keep here in my studio. You can probably tell how much I admire him and how much he has influenced my work. The thing that helped me the most from James Gurney was his book Color and Light. The issue I was having with color relationships was solved when I studied this part of the book that talks about creating gamut masks. Thanks to James Gurney and his books, I was able to understand how, by limiting certain colors and using subtle color relief, we can create depth. The colors in the distance weren't highly saturated. They were different versions of grays, and that's what made the colors in the foreground pop, even without being too saturated, making them feel more alive. This was the thing that helped me the most in understanding why the midground and background colors didn't click together. This is one of the things that help a painting feel more realistic. If you'd like to learn more about these artists like James Gurney or Kazuo Oga, and about other books in my collection, let me know in the comments down below. And if you would like to hear about more artists, make sure to subscribe. I'm always talking about different artists in this channel. So what do these three artists have in common? What did I learn from them? And how did they help my art evolve? Beyond these elements, there is something more difficult to explain with words. An essence communicated through the visual language that invites you, through a painting, to experience a different world. Maybe a place that once existed, one that exists today, or one that might exist in the future, or perhaps a place or a feeling that we have already experienced, but we forgot about. Studying and analyzing these three artists gave me tools that I didn't have before, and those tools were the key to break the creative block. A lot of people think that creative blocks come from a lack of creativity, but in my experience and in my humble opinion, they can be overcome with practice and discipline by showing up every day. And it's only when we push through those creative blocks that we truly grow as artists. Technique equals practice. Practice equals discipline. Discipline equals show up and practice every day. This doesn't apply only to art. It applies to everything we want to master. Consistency is far more important than talent. And in the end, talent is often fleeting and even illusory. There isn't a single answer to what makes a painting feel massive and magnificent. Size, composition, and narrative, all of these are elements that create presence when they are used well. Of course, if the painting is the size of a wall, that helps. But that alone isn't what makes it great or unforgettable. Only a masterpiece truly reaches your soul and stays with you. It becomes permanent. A landscape feels powerful, not because of what it represents, but because of what it awakens within you.
If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. The video series for Baja California will come to a pause right now because a great adventure is coming. On the other side of the Pacific Ocean, there's a country that I'm pretty sure you've heard of, Japan.